Okay, guys. So yesterday was actually the introduction session. So in the session, we already we already discussed about the rules and regulations and what are the things we are going to cover in our course. So in continuation to that, today's agenda is basically the thing is because everyone knows we are going to explore about the Python. And I believe everyone is coming from the non-development background. Means I am considering basically, I am considering everyone is coming from the non-development background. So in that case, we are going to start from zero. Zero means zero. Means whenever we are talking about the zero means like if we want to talk about any language. So what we can zero for the language? Grammar, correct? So if you want to explore any language, doesn't matter this is the communication language or anything. So you have to learn about what? You have to know about the process, how we are doing the things. And the second thing, what are the rules and regulations we have to follow for any kind of this communication thing. So like that, so for to understand all these things, we have to know about what we have to know about what is this Python, what we are going to explore, and basically what is the execution process. And in between, if you guys have any doubt, any question, you just raise a hand. Definitely we will discuss about your queries and trying to sort out the things. So now, okay, so the thing is, well, like, what is the Python? So in this, first of all, whenever you are trying to get the definition of the Python in Google or anywhere, so you will get simple this definition. Python is an interpreted high level and general purpose programming language. Okay. This is the general definition what you are getting in Google. Anytime if you try to find what is the Python or definition of the Python, so you will get this definition. Python is an interpreted high level and general purpose programming language. Now here the important thing is, because we are assuming that we are starting from the zero, so we have to know about what is the meaning of each and every word what we are using in this definition. Like for example, Python is an interpreted high level and general purpose programming language. So what is the meaning of what is the meaning of the interpreted, what is the meaning of the high level, what is the meaning of the general purpose, what is the meaning of the programming language. So in today's session we are going to discuss about each and every point, what is the meaning of all these characteristics of the Python. So at least what will happen whenever we start development in the Python, so we should aware about what are the internal things is happening. Means whenever you are executing any program, whenever you are compiling any program, anything like I am telling, whenever you are executing the program, compiling the program, so basically what is exactly the meaning of executing, what is the exact meaning of the compiling. So these all things we should know before going to start the exploring any language like Python or anything. So now here, before going to start all this definition, first I will start from the programming language. First we will start from what? First we will start from the programming language. So I think you guys, everyone knows about the language. What is the language? Can anyone tell me the definition of the language?
Language is a mode of communication.
That's it. Very good. Simple and sweet definition of the language. Language is what? This is just the medium of the communication. You know Bengali, I know Hindi. If I want to communicate something to you, okay, for example, we both are from same area, same region, and we both know the same language. And if we want to communicate something, definitely anyone want to communicate something, we have to use one medium, and that medium is basically what? That medium will be the language. This is the case of what? This is the case of the human being or human communication interaction. So whenever we are talking about the human interaction or human communication, so language is playing the very important role. Now here basically we are talking about, or we are going to discuss about the programming language. So what is the programming language? So like if you understand what is the language, language is what? Language is the medium of the communication. So in the same way, whenever someone asks you what is the programming language, so whenever you want to communicate with the machine, whenever you want to communicate with the machine, one more thing, remember, whenever I am talking about the machine, so machine means basically what? Machine means the computer what you are using, like the CPU what you are using. Maybe some people are using the Windows machine, some people are using the Mac machine, Linux machine. So means machine is basically what? Machine is this kind of thing. Whenever you want to communicate something with the machine, so that time we need what? That time we need one programming language, because the programming language will facilitate us to communicate with the machine or communicate with the computer. Understood the definition of the programming language, everyone? What is the, if someone asks you what is the programming language, can you explain what is the programming language? Hello, you just raise your hand, that's it. Okay, this is more than enough for me. So yes, good. So like programming language is what? Programming is the medium of the communication. Now after that, I am coming to the next important thing on the programming language. Basically, whenever we are saying the programming language as the definition, or as we understand the programming language, whenever we want to communicate with the computer or whenever we want to communicate with the machine, definitely we need one programming language. Without programming language, we cannot communicate with the computer. Why? The reason is because maybe you know Hindi, maybe you know English, but computer doesn't know about Hindi or English. Computer always remember not for today, not for tomorrow, not for this time. This is when the computer started. Computer understand only one language, that is what? That is the machine language. Computers understand only one language, that is sometimes that is called the machine language, sometimes this is called the binary language. So here, and this binary language is always in the form of what? This binary language is always in the form of 0 1 0 1 0 1. So computer doesn't know about the English. Whatever you are telling, whatever you are writing, computer is not understanding anything. Computer always understand only one language. That language is called the machine language, or this code what we are seeing here 0 1 0 1 0 1. This is called the binary code. So always remember this thing. Computer understand only binary language or machine language, nothing else. Now after that, if the situation is like this, this key, you know English and computer knows binary language. Like if I want to correlate this thing with the practical situation, for example, I am in Hyderabad and I knows Hindi, I knows English, but the one of my friend, he doesn't know about the Hindi or English, he knows only Telugu language. So what we can do in that situation? Can anyone tell me the best way how we can basically communicate with each other?
A translator is required.
Exactly. If we found a friend who knows Telugu, who knows Hindi, so that friend exactly he can translate Telugu to Hindi or Hindi to Telugu. So same thing you can compare here itself, because you are not going to write the code in 0 1 0 1 0 1. we are going to write a code in the English language. So definitely, because the computer doesn't understand the English, so we need one mediator. We need one person, or we need one thing which will stand between the machine and the human being. So what will happen? It will transfer your communication. It will transfer your thoughts. It will transfer what the things you want to do in the machine language, and what the computer want to translate, it will translate that thing in the human readable form or English form that we can easily understand. So in that situation, we need one translator, and that translator is basically help us to communicate with the machine, because we are going to write the code in the English and computer will understand the binary language. Now after that, next most important thing is what? Whenever we are talking about the programming language, as I already told you, computer always understand only binary or machine language. Computer is not understanding any other language. Whenever the computer programming is started, then what happened? That time people doesn't know about the Python. That time that people doesn't know about the C#, C, Java, JavaScript, anything. That time people knows only one language, and that language is what? That language is the machine language. That language was what? That language was the machine language. After that, what happened? Like whenever, if the people who belong to that particular era, so that time if you want to write the code for adding two numbers, that time if you want to write the code to add two numbers, so maybe you need to write at least 20 to 30 line, or maybe 50 to 100 line to add only two numbers, because that time people write each and everything in the binary language, means 010101 format. The time when the people written the code in the 0101 format, that is basically that is called the first generation language. That was the first generation language. Sometime that is called low level language. So here there are three type of languages we have: low level, middle level, and high level. Low level language is also called the first generation, middle level is the second generation, and the high level is the third generation. Whenever we are talking about the first generation or the low level, so basically in the first generation, all the code written in the machine language 0101 form. After that, what happened? As you guys already know, in computer or in IT, the slowly everything is getting changed. Means previously we were using some other software, now we are using some other software. So gradually things are changing in the IT world. So it's the same thing, because the people was fed up to write a code in the 0101 form. So slowly what happened? Slowly they introduce a new language. That language is called the assembly language. Basically, the assembly language is the collection of what? Assembly language is the collection of mnemonics. Mnemonics means instead of writing the complete program in 010101, they used some small keywords like add, subtract, multiplication, division, power. So they were using some small keywords. So this language is basically called what? This language is called the middle level language or second generation language. After that, we got some more improvement. Then what are the language right now we are using? These all language comes under the high level language or third generation language. Whatever the language you heard about, like Python, C, C++, Java, JavaScript, Perl, whatever the language you heard, these all language are the example of third generation language or high level language. And guys, again, I am telling one more thing. Please listen and understand carefully, because as you, if I don't know you remember or not, for each and every class, after the each and every class, we have a quiz for 5 or 6 questions. So whatever the things we are discussing in the class, these quiz or these questions are related to that topic only. So I need everyone should perform very well in that quiz. Okay. So if you want to perform well in that quiz, so you have to concentrate on the session. So based on that, how many type of programming language we have? We have total 3 type of programming language: low level, high level, middle level. These 3 level also called the first generation, second generation, and third generation. The first generation language code, what people are written in the machine language, 0101 form. And after that, the second generation is the assembly language. In assembly language, the people written the code in the assembly language like mnemonic form. And after that, the right now what the language we heard about and what are the language we are exploring, these all language comes under the high level or third generation language. Understood everyone? Anyone have any question in this part? Okay. Now after that, what the things we discuss here, if we want to communicate, if you want to communicate with the computer, or if you want to communicate with the machine, definitely we need what? We need one translator. So here, like I written, hi, how are you? And definitely computer will not understand. So we need one translator. This translator is basically convert my code, what I written in the human readable form, that code convert in the 0101 form, and this 0101 machine language form or binary form, this code will understand by whom? By the computer. So this is the main purpose of the translator. So every time means, please, because you guys are coming from the non-development background, so just because of that reason, I want you guys should understand each and every point thoroughly. So at least whenever you go for the interview or whenever you want to talk on some point, so at least you should know about each and everything, how the complete process is going on. So now here there are only 2 things is very important. First thing is, what are the language we are using? These all are the high level language, or these all are the third generation language. After that, computer will not understand the high level language. Computer always understand the machine level language. So in general there are inside this there are many more things are there, but in general, whenever we want to communicate with the computer, we need one translator. Translator will translate our code from one format to another format. Now after that, like what is the translator? Translator will convert the source code into machine code. So I believe everyone is good with this one. Translator will convert the source code. What is the source code? What we are writing in English, what we are writing in the human readable form, that code is called what? That code is called the source code. And we have one translator. That translator will translate our source code to the machine level code or machine code. This machine code will understand by the computer or by the machine. After that, the next important thing is the type of the translator. How many type of translator we have? So we have 3 type of translator. First is the assembler, second one is the compiler, and third one is the interpreter. How many type of languages we have? Just
Three.
now we discussed. How many type of languages we have? Three type of, correct?
Three types.
First generation, second generation, and third generation. First generation language is the machine level. And as if you guys remember, we already discussed, computer always understand what? Computer always understand the machine level language, okay, or machine language. So in the first generation, because first generation, if we were writing the code in which language or which form? In the first generation, what is binary form? Exactly. So is this form required to translate to understand the machine?
No.
No, exactly. So please correlate each and everything. So in the first generation, you don't require any translator. In the first generation, we don't require any translator. Why? Because in first generation, people written the code in the machine language itself. After that, once we come to the second generation and third generation, so now we require the translator, because in the second generation and third generation, the program what the developers are written, these program in the human readable or human writable form. So just because of that reason, we require translator from second generation and third generation. So now here there are three type of translator we have. One is the assembler, second one is the compiler, and third one is the interpreter. Simply, what is the assembler? So in second generation, we written the code in which language? In the second generation, we written the code in the assembly language. So basically, assembler is what? Assembler is same the mediator which convert your assembly language code to the machine level code. Assembler is what? Assembler is converting, or assembler is a type of translator which convert the assembly language to machine language. And after that, the next one is the compiler and interpreter. I will explain in detail between the compiler and interpreter, because this is very, very closely related to the Python. So compiler and interpreter is what? Compiler or interpreter is also a type of translator, but it will convert high level language to the machine level language or machine language. So I believe you guys understood what is the translator, how many type of translator we have, and what is the general use of the translator or general use of the different type of translator. So we have assembler. Assembler will convert the assembly language code to machine level code. Compiler or interpreter, it will convert the high level to machine level. Understood till this point? If we all are good with this point, then we can proceed for the next one. All good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now after that, from here, you guys please understand carefully, because now we are going slowly in deep in this Python and compiler and interpreter, all those things. Don't worry, we are not directly jumping on the language. Now we are just trying to understand how the Python code is executing. So now here, one thing we know, whatever the code or whatever the language we are going to explore, this is the high level language. First thing. Second thing, we know computer is not understanding my language. Computer is understand only one language, that is the machine level language. So it means It means whatever the code I am writing, that code should be translate. That code should be translated in the machine level, then only computer will understand. Okay. Now the first, because assembler you guys already know, the only thing is what I want to explain you here, what is the difference between the compiler and interpreter. So first thing, whenever we are talking about the compiler, so here, for example, you are a developer. Well, for example, I am a developer. I am writing a code, and that code I am writing for one of my client. Okay. So here, what will happen? Whenever I write the code, after that, I need what? I need one translator, because definitely whatever the code I am going to write, that code I am going to write in the Python or C# or Java, high level language. So if I want to write a code in the high level language, definitely I required one translator. So I have that translator. That translator translate the code. That translator directly translate the code in the machine level language. And after that, it will produce me one file. Yogesh, this is the file. Now you can execute this file in your machine. Now this file I will give to whom? This file I will deliver to the client. And now after that, client will execute, or client can execute this particular file. This is the simple process of what? This is the simple process of the compiler, or the languages which are following this particular flow. These languages are called the compiled languages. These languages are called the compiled languages. So what is the flow of the compiled languages? We are writing a code in the high level language. Maybe this is a Python. So now I am not going to talk about the C# and Java. We will talk about only Python. You are writing a code in the Python, and after that you have some mechanism. That mechanism will translate your code in what? That is code in the machine level. And that machine level code, or that particular file, we are delivering to the client. After that, client can use this file in his machine. Understood the flow of the compiler?
Yes.
Okay. Now I will, after explanation of the interpreter, I will tell you about the differences between the compiler and interpreter. That is very, very important. Now after that, we will come to the interpreter. What is the interpreter? As we already know, both compiler and interpreter, both are the type of the translator. Both are the type of what? Both are the type of the translator. Okay, before going to technical terms in the interpreter, I just want to explain you one more thing. Just basically not explain, I just want to give you an example. Basically, what is the means compiler, and what basically we are saying the interpreter. As you already seen in the previous example or the previous slide, we are writing the code in the high level language. After that, we need one translator. That translator directly, it will convert the code in the machine level, and that file we are delivering to the client. Now in case of interpreter, what is happening here? Situation is same. We got a project, and we want to develop the project, and after that deliver to the client. Now here I have a file, means I am writing a code, and once I write the code, after that I deliver this code to the client. Once I write the code, after that I will deliver this code to the client. Then after client have one translator. Then after client have one translator, client will translate the code in the machine level, and then after we will get the result. Now here, the very important thing between the compiler and the interpreter. First thing, in the previous slide, whenever you write any code, after that you have a compiler. That compiler directly produce the executable file, and that executable file we are delivering to the client, and client can directly use that particular file. Here we are in the left side. Okay, we are in the left side. We written a code, and after that we directly given this file to the client, and now client will translate your file in the machine level, and after that it will run this particular code. What the similarities or what the differences you are seeing in these both two cases? Can anyone observe? Okay, I will tell about the point as well. Okay, you just think and tell me.
We are writing.
Yes, please.
We are writing code in same high-level language in both the compiler and this interpreted.
Okay.
But while submitting to the client, we are submitting here same Python code itself. We are submitting. There we are submitting machine language code.
Exactly. So it means whenever we are talking about the security point of view, so in the compiler case, we are not delivering the code what we written, correct? Client cannot understand or he cannot find what you written in the code, because client always will get what? Client always will get the executable file, .exe file, what we are getting. But in case of the interpreter, whatever the code you written, client can easily see and understand what you written in this file, and whatever the client what he can change in this code as well. This is the first difference between the compiler and interpreter. After that, the second most important difference between the compiler and interpreter is whenever we are talking about the compiler will convert the entire code. And produce the executable file. But whenever we are talking about the interpreter always execute line by line. Interpreter will always execute line by line, means interpreter execute, first it will read one line, execute one line, and next read second line, execution second line, third line, fourth line, like this. The simple example is, or suppose I understand English and someone understand Telugu, but that guy doesn't know about the English, I doesn't know about the Telugu. Now I have one translator. Okay, now I have one translator. That translator have capability to translate both the language, English to Telugu, Telugu to English. Now there are two ways of the translation. The first way is I will explain everything to the translator. Okay, I will tell everything to the translator. Okay, I woke up at 6 o'clock, then I went for the walk, then I come back, have my breakfast, blah blah blah, everything I explain to the translator. Then after, translator will go to the Telugu guys or Telugu friend, and after the understanding what I delivered, he delivered something in his word. Overall, the concept is same. Overall, the summary is same. The only thing is what I explained to the translator delivered the same thing, but in the different way. After that, the second situation. The second situation is I will tell to the translator, I woke up at 6 o'clock. Then it will translate this particular sentence, I woke up at 6 o'clock, and translate in the Telugu. Then I went for walk. So it translate, I went for the walk in Telugu. So basically the case 1 and case 2. The case 1 is the example of what? Case 1 is the example of the compiler, and case 2 is the example of the interpreter. So compiler, if in your program, whenever you write any program, if in your program in any line you get the error, the entire program will not work. The entire program won't work. In case of the interpreter, means if any language, what you are exploring, if this is the interpreter language, so if you written a code for 100 line and your 60 line is correct, and maybe 61st line there is an error, so your 60 line will execute, and after the 61st line your program will come outside from the environment. Means in the 61st line it will produce the error, but 60 line will execute. So this is the difference between what? This is the difference between the compiler and interpreter. Now, if you guys, definitely you guys have some question. So if you guys have any doubt, any question in compiler and interpreter, feel free to ask me. Yes, anyone? Hello, guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so understand, everyone
please.
understood what is the compiler and what is the interpreter?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. But I feel very happy if you guys ask me a question, okay? So if you have any doubt, first of all, I am trying from my side to deliver 100%. But in case if I miss something, so you can ask me anytime. So this is the difference between the compiler and interpreter. And according to the compiler and interpreter, there are many languages are there, like C, C++, C#, Python, Java. Some of the languages is following the concept of the what? Concept of the compiler. Just because of that reason, we are saying these are the compiled languages, and some languages following the concept of the interpreted. So language also divided in two different categories. These languages are the compiled language and these languages are the interpreted language. Like for example, whenever we are talking about the C, C++, C#, so these all languages are called compiled languages. Whenever we are talking about the JavaScript, whenever we are talking about Perl something, so these all languages is called the interpreted language. But whenever we are talking about the Python, just because of that reason I am saying this session is very, very important, because whenever you are trying to get the definition or something about the Python, so everywhere you will get the word Python is the interpreted language. But basically Python is not 100% interpreted, nor it is a compiled language. Python is the combination of both the language. Just because of that reason we are saying Python is the hybrid platform language. Means Python is 50% interpreted, 50% compiled. That I will explain you, don't worry. After completion of this session, everyone will in the phase, like you can explain to anyone what is the interpreter, what is the compiler, how the Python work and everything. So this is the first thing what related to the compiled and interpreted language. Now, next. This is the difference between the compiled and interpreted. Which one is good like? So here compiled is ready to run faster, source code private, and this is not the cross platform. Yes, this is very important point. See, whatever the language is under the category of the compiled language, like as I told you, C, C++, C sharp, whatever the language is under the category of the compiled language, that executable, because as we already know, compiled languages is always produce what? Compiled language, whenever we are talking about the compiled language, this is your code, this is your translator, and this is your executable. This is the case of what? This is the case of the compiled language. Here in this place, you are writing the code. This is the compiler. It will convert to the exe. So always remember one thing. Always remember one thing. The compiled languages, like compiled languages, will never produce the executable which will work in all the platforms. Like if you want to run the application in Windows, you want to run the application in the Mac machine, if you want to execute on the Linux. So if you are using the, because always remember one thing, if you are using Windows, Mac or Linux, each machine internal architecture is different. Each machine internal architecture is different. So just because of that reason, if you are compiling, if you are using the compiled languages, so compiled languages never produce the executable file for the cross platform. Okay, maybe some people have confusion about what is the cross platform. So basically, what is the meaning of the cross platform? The meaning of the cross platform is, I will develop one application. I want to develop one application. That application should run on the Windows, should run on the Mac machine, should run on the Linux. If you are able to develop this kind of application, so this type of application is called the cross-platform application. So whenever we used any language which are the compiled languages, so compiled languages never produce the executable or never produce the application which will work for the cross platform. So always compiled language, when we are using, it will produce either for the Windows platform or for the Mac platform or for the Linux platform. And after that, if we are looking for the single platform, that compiled languages are good. And last one is the not execute if error came. So this I already explained you. After that, I will come to the interpreted. Interpreted is the cross platform, simple to test, easier to debug. This is little bit slower as compared to the compiled languages. But here, wherever you have some plus points, you have some minus point as well. So like here, this is the source code public. Whatever the code you are writing, this is the public, so anyone can see. Like the best example of this one is the JavaScript. Whenever you are using the browser, JavaScript is the interpreted language. So anyone, if whatever the JavaScript code you written, anyone can easily check in the browser. Interpreter required. This is the cross platform, and after that, this is partially execute, that I will explain you in next slide. So anyone have any question, any doubt in these points? Okay, good.
What is debug?
Debug is basically what like whenever we write the code, okay, whenever either you are using any language, debug is the process to find the defects in our program.
Okay.
Okay, debug is what? Debug is the process to find the defect in our program. So whenever you are using any language, in each language we have the facility of the debug. So like in Python, whenever we write the code, whenever we will touch on that stage, then I will tell you how to debug the Python program.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay. Now, anyone have any doubt? Good. So now here, as we already seen about the compiler, compiled, interpreted, everything. So we have some plus point in the compiled. So we have some minus point in the compiled. We have some plus point in the interpreted. So we have some minus point also in the interpreted. So what happened, as I already told you, in IT, every time the new invention will come. So now here also people were thinking about why we cannot get the plus point from the interpreted, plus point from the compiled, and we make a new workflow. And we will make a new workflow. That workflow will take all the positive things from the compiled, all the positive things from the interpreted, and make a good product. So this approach is called what? This approach is called the intermediate approach. This approach is called the intermediate approach. So now we will see how this intermediate approach will work. If you guys understood clearly whatever the things we discussed till now, then the new or the next things is not going too tough. Okay. So now here in the interpreted approach, what will happen? See here. You written the code. This is your machine. Okay. This is your machine. This is client machine. You written the code. After that, we have one translator. After that, we have one translator. That translator will produce one file. Okay. Please understand very carefully. We written a code. That code is basically what? That we have one translator. That translator will produce a file. That file is basically called the intermediate language file. That file is called what? That file is called the intermediate language file, or sometimes we are saying bytecode. Sometimes we are asking, this is called what? This is called the bytecode. Basically, this translator here, this translator is called the compiler. So in this intermediate approach, what we are doing, this is the compiler. This compiler will compile your file and it will generate the bytecode. Okay, understood at this point? Now, the most important thing is, after that, you deliver this intermediate code to the client. Intermediate code or bytecode. Okay, please understand and listen carefully. The left side, the compiler will convert your source code or whatever the code you written. This code will convert in the bytecode or intermediate language code. Then after we deliver this intermediate language or bytecode to the client. And the best part of this approach is what? The best part of this approach is, whenever you deliver this intermediate language or bytecode to the client, the beautiful things for this particular approach is you can deliver this bytecode to any platform. You can deliver this bytecode to any platform. Means you can deliver this bytecode to the Windows. You can deliver this bytecode to the Mac machine. You can deliver this bytecode to the Linux as well. After that, what will happen? Once your client will receive the bytecode, after that, your client have one translator. That translator will convert your bytecode to the machine code. Now here, the most important thing is what? The most important thing is whenever we are talking about this particular left side action, what the code we written, that code will convert in the bytecode. After that, we deliver this bytecode to the machine. Maybe this is the Windows, maybe this is the Mac, or maybe this is the Linux platform. Now you know this particular thing, this particular translator, what we need to convert bytecode to machine code. This particular things is whenever we are talking about the Python, okay, because we are going to explore the Python, so we are more concentrated on the Python only. So in Python, the thing what we required in this particular platform, this is called PVM. This is called the Python virtual machine. This is called what? This is called the Python virtual machine. It means if your client using the Mac machine, so your client has to install Python virtual machine for Mac. If your client using the Windows machine, so he has to install. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yes. Actually, I lost my internet.
Okay.
Now, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the approach what we are discussing here, this is the intermediate approach. So where we were, what is the last statement I delivered? Can anyone-
PVM, Python virtual
Yes,
machine.
okay. So it means if you are using the Mac machine or Windows or Linux, you have to install what? You have to install the Python virtual machine for that particular environment. After that, as a developer, if I am developing any application, so I can develop this bytecode, and that bytecode can run in any platform, Mac, Linux or Windows. The only thing is required what? The only thing is required, whatever the environment you want to learn my file, you have to install the virtual machine concept. This just because of that reason, this concept will come in the picture, because Python, whatever the code we are writing in the Python, this is called the cross platform. Cross platform means the code what you are writing, that code you can run in the any environment. So now you guys understood what is the meaning of the cross platform, what is the meaning of this intermediate approach. If anyone have any doubt, please tell me. All good? Shall we proceed for the next?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now I will come to the important thing. If you guys are clear with the previous slide, so I believe it will not create any issue in this slide. So basically the Python is basically following the previous pattern, means intermediate approach. In the intermediate approach, as you guys already seen, left side we required one compiler, right side we required one interpreter. Basically in the PVM, Python virtual machine, inside the Python virtual machine we have the interpreter. Okay. So in this intermediate approach, we need compiler as well as interpreter. So now see here, this is the workflow for the Python program. Whenever you return any Python program, here, so the Python program, what we are writing, that file extension is what? The file extension is the .py file. Once you return the program, this is the py file. After that, what will happen? After that, this particular interpreter, whenever we are talking about the interpreter, in the interpreter we have one compiler. That compiler convert the file in which code? This compiler convert the file in the bytecode. That bytecode, as you guys already know, that bytecode we can run in any machine. The only thing is we need what? We need the virtual machine, Python virtual machine. If the PVM is there in your machine, then no need to worry about anything. This bytecode we can directly run in the machine, and this particular thing will convert in the machine language. Basically the interpreter, what we have in the virtual machine, it will convert your code, it will convert the byte code in the machine language. Then after, your machine will easily understand your code and it will execute and it will produce the output what we are expecting from our program. So this is the flow what we are following in the Python. So one second. Yes. See here, the file what we written here, the file extension is .py. After that, what the byte code we are receiving, the byte code file extension is what? .pyc. And then after, it will produce the result, and that result is the machine level language, and machine language is understood by the computer, and after that it will produce the result. Then here I just want to show what are the languages are the compiled language, interpreted language, and hybrid language. C, C++, Objective-C, COBOL, these all are the interpreted, these all are the compiled languages. Interpreted is basically JavaScript, PHP, Perl, Basic. And after that, whenever we come to the hybrid, in hybrid, Java, C#, VB.NET, Python, these all are the collection of the hybrid languages. This virtual machine concepts comes in the picture like the Java. If some people have any experience in the Java also work with the same kind of atmosphere. Means if you have the Java program, that Java program you can run in the Windows machine, you can run in the Mac machine, and you can run as well in the Linux machine. The only thing is required what? The only thing is like in the Python, we need Python virtual machine. For the Java, to run the Java bytecode, we need Java virtual machine, that is called the JVM. If the JVM is your machine, you can easily run the Python code, usually run the Java code. After that, the last point what we have in the Python definition, general purpose language. What is called a general purpose language? General purpose language means where if you are exploring or you are trying to understand the Python, after understanding the Python, You can use the Python in the web framework environment development, game development, molecular biology, data visualization, scientific computation, data science, AI, ML, GUI based application. So basically the overall thing is what? Overall thing is Python is not limited to only a small application. Python we can use in any application development. Just because of that reason, we are saying Python is the general purpose language. After that, here just this is the add-on on this session. So basically here, because we are coming from the non-development background, so I just want to explain some terminology what frequently we are using in the development. Like here, what is the desktop interface and differences? So here, whenever we are talking about any program, okay, whenever we are talking about any application, what we are running in our machine, maybe this is a Word, maybe this is a Excel, maybe this is a Winamp player, maybe Zoom meeting, any application. So in Windows machine or in desktop machine, we have total two type of application. One is the GUI and other one is the CLI. GUI application, graphical user interface, and CLI is the command line interpreter. So there are two type of application we have. One is the graphical user interface and second one is the GUI based. So anyone can give me the example of the GUI application in CLI?
GUI is Windows applications. And CLI means command prompt.
Okay, means basically both are the Windows only. Both are the Windows only, but the only thing is what? The only thing is the whenever we are talking about the GUI, so there we have like button, text box, different things. Using the mouse, we can select the things, correct? But whenever we are talking about the CLI based application, CLI based application, there is no need of the mouse. First of all, you no need the mouse. Everything you can do using the keyboard only. Like black and white screen, I think you guys knows about the DOS operating system. So basically the DOS operating system or the DOS is basically what? This is the CLI based system. If you want to copy one file from one place to another place, in Windows, how we are copying? Just go and select the file, right click, copy, go to destination folder, just right click and click paste. This is the purpose. This is basically the functionality of the GUI based application. But whenever we are talking about the CLI, so you have to remember the command. You have to remember the command. What is the command for the copy? What is the command for the rename? What is the command from the delete? But whenever we are coming to the GUI based application, you no need to remember anything. Whenever you right click on the folder, automatically all the option will come: copy, paste, delete, everything. So whenever we are talking about the GUI and CLI based application, so these are the differences between the command line interface and graphical user interface. CLI is difficult to use because, as I told you, if I give you the black and white screen and command prompt, so definitely you have to remember all the command. Without remember, you cannot use the command. So this is difficult to use. And here that is easy to use. It consumes low memory. Definitely, if you don't have any graphical part, so it will not consume much memory. Second one is the in CLI we can obtain high precision because this is directly working with the core component. So here you will get the high precision. CLI is faster than GUI. Definitely, whenever we are talking about the GUI, like the graphical, there it will take so much memory. So your processor will be slow. After that, CLI operating system needs only keyboard where mouse is not required. But in the graphical user interface, you need mouse as well as keyboard. So this is all about today's session. If anyone have any doubt, please you can ask me. And meanwhile, everyone please hit the menti.com quickly. menti.com. Code, I think you guys already know.
Can you repeat the code once?
Definitely. Seven two six three 72638461. Seven two six three 8461. The code is visible in your screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, anyone facing any problem to connect with menti.com? Okay, so now I'm going to start. Okay, please be ready for the question. Very good. But still some people given the answer generation one. Why, I don't know. Very good. Super. Please answer this question carefully. If you listen carefully, then definitely you will give the right answer. Wow, very good. But some people missed this part. I don't know why. Very good, Vikas ji. Congratulations.